Are we streaming?
Oh. Hey!
Hi.
Welcome to Game of Thrones Book Club, where we read about 100 pages of George R. R. Martin's The Song of Ice and Fire series. We are still on the second book, Clash of Kings. I'm James.
I'm James.
I'm Chelsea.
I'm Joel.
Please let us know if there are any audio issues.
Yeah, I feel like I really have to nail down the order of those things, because I feel like it's always different. Great intro where we're totally not expecting it.
It's a rainy Sunday.
It's a very rainy
Sunday here in LA.
If you hear that in the background, that's what that is rain. But yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. I hope that if you were able to, you were at our live stream last night, our 4-hour extravaganza.
We were drunk last night.
We were real drunk
Yeah, this
last
is a
night.
post-drunk Disney Sunday book club, so
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
So expect that kind of
Please.
low energy
Be
from us.
nice to me. I'm not hungover. I'm just very tired.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's just
I drank a lot of
exhaustion.
water.
Are we askance or are you slouching?
Oh, I'm
Okay.
sitting like I'm in a
Comfortably?
hammock. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that too, but I was like, the rest of us.
No,
are.
no, no.
Yeah, like the three of
I'm
us
not
look-
sitting like a proper person.
Yeah.
All right.
Proper
cool.
lady.
Then
Like a
we
proper
are-
lady.
Oh, Shaggy's not in the shot.
Oh no, fix it. He's got to hang out with his
I
best
don't.
of
I
friends.
don't know if that's not a good
No?
idea.
It's
Yeah.
like
All right. He'll just be...
All right, great.
Good thing we saved House of the Undying. Yes.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
agree.
We want to be full
Yeah,
on
this
energy.
Would have been
for
that
House
would
of
have
the
been a
Undying.
bummer.
it's funny because yesterday, James and I were debating if Tyrion's a Targaryen or not, and I brought up some evidence, and I did not realize, not in the show, is from House of the Undying. So I'm excited to get to that.
Oh,
Yeah,
but I'll have to wait till next week.
I know.
Cut off.
So I'm excited we saved it because we're gonna
Yeah.
go full conspiracy because
Yeah.
I believe
Boo.
he's a secret Targ, guys. He is. And I told James my dream casting in anything, not that I'm an actor, but my dream casting in anything. I want HBO to cast me in a non-speaking role as Joanna Lannister in the flashback where we learn that Tyrion is a secret Targaryen. I'll do it for free.
Okay, well, we did have a lot of fun readings. This first chapter was one of the best ones.
Sure. Should we just
Yeah.
get into it?
Maybe. You got any questions?
Any questions?
Anyone feeling any? Oh, do we have a sigil?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
we do
let's
have.
do a
So
sigil.
let's do sigil big. Blam. Whoop. That was disappointing. Oh, I see
It's
what the
below,
issue is. It's
yeah.
below.
And blam. Cool. This is by the
Yeah.
same artist from last week. What was her name?
Her name
Sorry.
was Robert.
Oh, is it
No.
the one? It wasn't like Mackenzie.
That
that
sounds,
sounds right.
I think it was
I
Mackenzie.
feel bad we don't remember. It
I
was
remember.
Cassie Mackenzie.
Cassie McKenzie. Thank you, Cassie, if you're here. Let us know. We really like it.
Yeah.
I like it because she did the one where we're all like looking like
Yeah,
sweet
we
angels.
those were good
At the
pictures of
book.
us.
Yeah, because
So-
she said that the one we showed last week was too complex to actually be a sigil,
It's-
so she wanted to make
it's
a more
very
simple
sigil
one.
Yeah.
like. I like it.
So we can we'll
Put it in
take this
the
one down and we'll
corner.
put the little one up in the corner. Can I find it?
Did you guys hear that rain?
Yeah, I wonder.
It
if
might
they
be subtle. I bet if they listen closely.
Mm-hmm.
So, cool.
Great.
All right. Let's.
Can
get
I
into
do an
it.
English accent? No, that's why I said
The
non-speaking flashback.
If
Although I
you've
bet,
seen Power Up,
you know what? I bet if I tried to, I could.
You would probably be
yeah.
fine.
I do. I can do.
You slip in and out.
Yeah.
Like
if I.
focused learning of it?
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
do a good German accent. I think if I tried, I could do an English.
You do a good
accent.
German. I don't think I can do any nationality accent.
What
It
do
just
you
takes
mean?
time. You guys could do it if you just like...
Joel's good
Well,
at
the
it.
only reason I can do German accent is because I speak German. And so the way I feel like I do a German accent is just pronounce English words
Like
they're
German.
like they're German words. And it works most of the time.
Is this Davos 2 or 3?
Two.
It's 2.
Wow.
I-
Well, we had the prologue.
Yeah, I had 3 in there, and before we even went live, people were like, "It's not 3."
Oh, okay.
So
Sorry. All right, so
3.
Davos 2. Oh, then that's wrong, but whatever.
I changed that. Oh, your overlay. Whatever. Deal with it.
All right,
It's
so
fine.
this is Davos 2, only the second
What
Davos
page?
chapter. It's on page
604.
604 in the mass market paperback edition. This is the chapter in which there is a parley with Cortnay Penrose and all of
Yeah.
Stannis' shitty little lords. And Davos has to counsel Stannis, who's having nightmares of Renly's death. And Stannis sends Davos with Mel to smuggle her beneath Storm's End, and we get a little shadow baby to close out the chapter. Good stuff. I love this chapter.
This might be my. I'm trying to remember if there's been a more interesting chapter. This is one of my favorite chapters so far in Clash.
Wow.
James, it wasn't a shadow baby. He fell out of a window. Get it right.
I'm sorry. And then
History's written by the winners. James.
It's an alternative fact.
Yeah.
Oh.
I haven't heard that yet.
Oh.
I'll look into
Catch
it.
up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that. Okay. Yeah, Courtney Penrose is like our favorite now.
Yeah, as someone who really is taking the time on this read through to pay attention to the lesser characters, like all these lords, I've been looking up and seeing where they came from, what happens to them. Obviously, Penrose doesn't go past this chapter, but he is a G. Like, he's so cool. This is really his only chapter.
Yeah.
Like, he's been talked about this whole book because he's holed up inside of Storm's End. But this is his one appearance, and it's awesome. He just tears everyone a new one.
It's weird. I didn't realize he's an older guy.
How old? Probably like in his 60s?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, he has a weathered face.
Mm-hmm.
And he's bald. I mean, young guys can be bald, but I don't know. That name just like Courtnay Penrose sounds like a very classic knight.
Yeah.
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 Does he have an heir? Do we know this? Is he the last Penrose?
That's
I
a
don't
good
know that.
question.
I'm not sure.
As the Castellan of a castle, I bet he's probably a second son.
Oh.
You know? But in any case, going off of what Chelsea said, I want to talk, since I've been mentioning it pretty much every book club, I want to talk about how George captures Davos's voice in this point of view chapter. And one thing that I noticed in this chapter especially is the way that Davos pays attention to two things, I think, more than anything else. He pays attention to chivalry, and by that I mean the sigils and the pageantry of the knights. He's very aware of that, and that's
Self-conscious
something.
of it.
Yes, and that's something that means a lot to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of that is because he's a new knight, and it's true to character, and it's something that he's very aware of, and informs his feelings about it. But he's also, and this is something I really love about Davos, he also pays very close attention to the men themselves. And particularly the looks that they wear on their faces, how they act, how they speak. He's somebody who's paying attention to the things that they mean with their physical actions, not what they're saying aloud. And that's something that I really love about Davos. I think it's something that makes Davos such an important character, so valuable to Stannis. It's
Especially because, would you say that that's one of Stannis' blind spots? Is
Yes.
people skills?
I do.
Yeah. He doesn't have people skills. That's what I like about Davos too, is I think Davos is the character I think has the best insight as to how much bullshit heraldry is. And like being made a lord, because he's a lord. But
No,
what?
He's not a lord yet.
Oh, I
Yeah, he's
see.
a knight right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, I think he has a good glimpse into how like arbitrary it all is. And I think he's gonna come to understand that even more later, because if someone like him can ascend, like it's all just these people, their families happen to have been in these stations for longer than he has, and like what does that even mean?
I think he's one of the most ethical or moral characters in the series. Obviously, he's not. Yeah. Obviously, he's not without fault. In this chapter alone, he tells Melisandre like, "Oh, I love my wife, but I've laid with other women."
Well, he's the.
That passage is so great.
I love. Yeah. Well,
Black and white.
He's the onion with some rot on it.
But just a little bit of
But
rock.
just a little bit. That's one of my favorites, and that's in the show too, isn't it? That discussion about the onions, because it's so good. That's at the end, so we can.
It is in the show?
It is, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's one of the best It's one of my favorite passages in
I think this
books, period.
chapter really makes a point of putting people's ideologies out there, like their character ideologies, because Melisandre in the boat has that whole rotting onion thing, and even Stannis kind of sums up his view when he says, a good act does not wash out the bad, nor a bad act the good, on page 612. Each should have its own reward, and that's when they're talking about how, he chopped Davos' fingers off, despite the fact that Davos saved him and everyone else's life.
And I think we admire that about Davos, that he has his ideology and is able to see past the trappings of lordliness to people's characters, but then also be consistent in how he behaves with his values. To me, in this chapter, as an admirer of Stannis, possibly previous to this chapter, and no longer, we're seeing more times that he is inconsistent with his values. But also, I would say that we admire Davos because he is aware of his ethics and his failings, but that does not let him place himself above everyone else. He doesn't judge Stannis. Like, that would never occur to him. But I think he's aware and points out how Stannis is a man who believes the good does not wash out the bad, but is not delivering justice to these lords who have gone over to him. Like, he's just letting them get away with their treason, essentially.
Because Joel, you texted us after reading this chapter complaining about Stannis.
Right. And
Oh,
you're
and him
such
not-
a Baratheon homeboy.
Him not like laying down the law.
Yeah.
He
So we
needs
were
those
taken
lords.
aback by that reaction.
Yeah.
He's admitting to his hypocrisy because he's already compromising his sense of justice and duty for power by not punishing the lords who he needs support from. So to me, he's doing this half measure of, with people I can punish and then take into my service like Davos, I'll do that because the good doesn't wash out the bad. But with these other guys, sure.
Here's
whatever.
my question though for you. Do you believe that he's admitting his hypocrisy, he's displaying hypocrisy with this, or is he biding his time? Because he didn't cut off Davos's fingers until after Robert's Rebellion, until the siege of Storm's End was lifted. It was a punishment that was administered after Davos's use was carried out. So is he just keeping score in his head, or do you think he's actually exhibiting hypocrisy? Either way, it seems like hypocrisy, and is that a problem?
But I also wonder if part of it is Stannis's bias in terms of so Davos's crime that he was punished for is he's a smuggler. It's a very low class, low born position to be in, whereas these other guys' treasons and crimes are of a high-born nature. They're like, they swore fealty to another lord, and they're high-born men. And I wonder if Stannis just doesn't quite see those in the same way, I think maybe there's a little bias, too.
I think so, too. I think he has a problem with not seeing people, he sees Davos' value, but I think that he, like most lords of his rank and with the experience that they have, he would give preference to lords because there's something extra that comes with that, some kind of intelligence or quality, but there really isn't.
But I think maybe you're overlooking some of this stuff in the Stannis paragraph on 612, because I think what Gressel was saying about how he didn't immediately chop off Davos' fingers, he waited until, it was the right time to do it. I think that's what he has planned for these lords, because after he says a good act does not wash out the bad, nor a bad act the good, each should have its own reward. You were a hero and a smuggler. He glanced behind at Lord Florent and the others. These pardoned lords would do well to reflect on that. And then later on in that chapter, or later on in that paragraph, pardon them, yes, forgiven, but not forgotten.
Brooding on his plans for justice.
Yeah,
what do you think
brooding
would
on his
be,
plans for
what do you
justice.
think, I mean, this is kind of an open-ended question, so if you don't have an answer for it, whatever, but what do you think his punishment would be?
I think it depends on the lord. I would imagine stripping of lands would
Probably.
be
That
an
was
order.
what I went to.
Because that's the other thing, too, is Davos' punishment is so literal. He takes his fingers because he's a smuggler, he's a thief. So I don't know.
Yeah, so maybe some kind of demotion.
Yeah, if we're going down the very literal punishments.
But first, he has to
I
use
get
their
your-
strength.
Right, which is the definition of hypocrisy,
But-
and it already pains
But he
him.
he kind of did that with Davos.
But to use them and then to punish them, he will have no respect, and he's already afraid. He's taking this castle because he's afraid that it'll be said that he'll be defeated. Like, he still cares about that, and his image will not look good.
I think Black Star 2990 has a good point. Interesting that Mel sees that she is good no matter the deed if it is for the right reasons. Seems Stannis is adopting this thinking. Yeah, I think that's right. I think that Mel obviously sees, shadow babies and burning people and doing whatever is fine morally if it leads to the greater good of the Lord of Light's plans being taken or being fulfilled. And I think Stannis is adopting that.
He does bring up a lot that that Mel has seen things in her flames, that things are important because she's seen them. He's buying in more than I think we saw earlier in the book to her philosophy.
Well, probably after Renly gets killed,
yeah.
He's all in, man. She just single-handedly won him all these lords and knights, and he's like, okay, now I finally have the means.
I wonder if anyone, and I don't want to go on a tangent on accident, but I wonder if anyone has ever written anything extensive comparing Stannis and Howland Reed, because you think that they're really different, but look at the ways that they've kind of won victory so far, and how people look down on the Crannogmen for using these sneaky ways to win battles, like stabbing people in the back, shooting them with arrows, and you have Stannis who's turned to magic. And I think a lot of people would think this is super cowardly.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
It's such a shortcut.
If people were to find out?
Yeah.
Sure.
And I think there's some interesting parallels you could draw there if we knew more about Howland. But I think that's interesting.
And Javier's saying that Stannis isn't as much about honor as he is about duty.
Well, so
the dutiful, the right thing, the just thing is for him to be king.
So
in his eyes.
And that supersedes everything else. What do you think?
So the just thing is for Stannis to be king, and I think that he is trying to adopt what Melisandre's point of view is, where the ends justify the means, or if the goal, if the goal is for this to happen, all actions that contribute to that goal are right. But I think that we're seeing in this chapter that as much as he would like to think that way, the actions themselves are paining him, like the nightmares that he's having.
Sorry, you can keep talking.
Okay, I'll make it short. The nightmares that he's having are showing guilt, and he says a couple of times to himself that, well, Renly was a traitor, he brought it on himself, he had to go. I think he is conflicted about this and having crisis of conscience, and I think he's going to, because of who he is, he's going to double down and commit to any action being justified in the name of what is right, what is his duty. But this is the beginning of a pattern where following his duty and what must be done, he's going to commit actions that are monstrous, at least what I know from the show, and that hurt his soul because it's not who he is. He's not Tywin. But in his mind, because it's his duty, the ends do justify the means. But who he is when all that is done is not going to be the same person.
Mm-hmm. I had a thought about shadow binding and shadow babies. And if this has been pointed out before and everyone knows this, then ignore it. But I really love the idea that to have a shadow baby, the person whose form it takes, because he keeps having nightmares about it and is clearly haunted. I love the idea that when you do that, if it's your form that is being used to kill someone, you live that moment while it's happening and you're forced to relive it over and over again.
Oh,
that's great.
And I think that would explain why you don't see it as often, because it seems so convenient.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's like you have sex with Melisandre and so it's like, why is he not just having shadow babies?
The toll it takes.
Exactly. It's like some monkey's paw type stuff.
That's great.
I
think that's a great
because how much
justification
can one person handle? Like you have to relive it over. It's not like you can push it out of your brain. It's like it's replaying in your head over and over.
I wonder how much, because Melisandre says, or because Davos says that Stannis looks years older, how much...
Yeah, it looks half a corpse.
Yeah, like, is that just sort of the magic draining years away from his life, or is it more concrete that he hasn't slept at all?
Yeah, however, that's what made me have the thought. Is he has like the images of the tent and it's all these details that like he wouldn't,
like the green tent.
He wouldn't know.
That really stood out.
Oh, sure.
So I think like you are there when it's happening, and that's why it's not as convenient a form of magic as you'd like to think.
This is Renly's Peach chapter too, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's him reflecting on it. He
Yeah.
said, I will go to my grave thinking of my brother's
Yeah,
peach.
that's
Yeah,
right.
you better.
Which is, and I think earlier in that, where is that passage? God damn it.
Which one? Top of 614?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So earlier when he's talking to Davos, there he says, where does he? Okay. On 612, he says, "I grieve for him as well, for the boy he was, not the man he grew to be."
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really like seeing this insight into Stannis where he's showing more emotion. You know, where he's and I think that what you mentioned, Chelsea, of him being haunted by his actions, especially with Renly, I don't think he's going to have the same guilt for Cortnay Penrose.
Yeah, because it wasn't his brother. that
Sure.
he loves.
But seeing this from Stannis,
Yeah, and you know what? It might have taken this for him to realize it, because on 614 he says, but I did love him, Davos. I know that now.
yeah, mm-hmm.
So maybe he thought that he could handle this action better than he could.
Yeah.
I really hope that ultimately, if we see, I hope we get the peach back if we ever get something from Stannis. You know what I mean? Even
Oh,
if
like
it's just a
dying words
little
or
mention.
something?
Yeah.
Oh.
Just that peach.
Peach.
That damn peach.
Renly's ultimate revenge.
I like the lords being mules, and him just, Stannis really knowing these people and knowing what they're going to, how they're going to react to this situation. I've been keeping an eye out on these guys.
He says, what I think is interesting too, he says to Davos, a smuggler, this is on 610, a smuggler must be a fair judge of men. And he asks, what do you make of Sir Cortnay Penrose?
Stubborn man.
Man, let's just pause for a second and appreciate Liam Cunningham and his portrayal of Davos as one of the best castings the
It
show
is.
made.
And he's really into the books in
Yeah,
the series.
totally.
Which makes it better.
It's so cute.
Yeah, like he's actually...
He, like, knows the books.
as opposed to
And-
Stannis, what's his
Yeah.
name?
Um,
The actor?
Oh, Stephen
Stephen
Delane, who
Delane.
Yeah,
hated
Stephen
hated
Delane.
it.
he hated filming it and, like, doesn't get it, which
Yeah.
isn't that perfect.
It's such a Stannis
casting.
thing.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
do my duty.
I love it.
Act in this role.
So Stannis says to Davos, a smuggler must be a fair judge of men, and he asks for his counsel. Now, so I'm curious. We get Davos and Stannis together, obviously, a lot. This smuggler and this king, who is not king. Do you think there's any kind of corollary? Go ahead.
Oh, it's wireless.
Yeah. Do you think there's any kind of corollary between the smuggler and the king? This king who is not king. This, like, we're trying to take something that doesn't belong to us, or that
Oh.
people don't. We're trying to steal this crown, kind of thing. Is there any kind of connection there, or am I reaching? Is that reaching? Or is Stannis
He's
talking?
trying to smuggle the crown?
My question is Stannis talking about himself when he says the smuggler must be a fair judge of character?
I don't know. I didn't get that.
You didn't
but
get that at all? I'm not sure if I did either. Putting it out to the room.
Sure. No wrong thoughts.
Which, where is it again?
That's on 610.
610. Let me reread that.
Guys, remember when I told you that the Florents suck? And we have some Florent representation here?
Yeah.
Yeah, bottom
They
of
suck.
610. Florent would have him fail more visibly in his son's sight with a noose around his neck. Oh, hey, he does have a son.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cortnay Penrose does have a son.
Oh, no. Oh, no, he has a father.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Lord Penrose,
Yeah.
Cortnay's dad,
Yeah.
received me more courteous.
Which means that he could have an older brother.
I think that
Citizen
in that
dilemma.
moment, I didn't so much see the,
Spoilers, okay.
I didn't so much see the similarity in them stealing or smuggling, but I did find it interesting as another piece of evidence towards Stannis feeling guilt or not wanting to face what he feels, is that when Davos returned, he didn't call for Davos for days, because
Right.
he is a man who will shine truth on things and state how things are. And I don't think he wanted to face that because, Davos, I love being in his point of view and him sensing as time goes on how wrong things are, especially Stannis' response to Davos asking, oh, and of course you'll seek Renly's killers because, of course, fratricide wasn't committed.
Right.
What was that?
6:13. When they're talking about rumors in the land and Cersei's incest and Selyse and the Jester, you can't stop them talking, my liege, but when you take your vengeance on your brother's true killers, the realm will know such tale as for lies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Davos knows by the end of this, obviously.
Yeah.
Wait, no, he's talking about Robert there, dude. If someone had said I had magicked myself into a boar to kill Robert,
You're right. That's
that's
but
why I was
then
confused.
Right, but it still needles him.
Yeah, and the bit right after that is when Stannis says, I will have justice for him, for Ned Stark, for Jon Arryn, and for Renly, Davos asks.
There, yeah, okay.
And that's, for a long time, the king did not speak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot in this chapter. Stannis likes to rule by fear, and I think that's his only option since he's very aware and bitter about how much people don't love him. Robert could piss in a cup and men would call it wine, but I offer them pure cold water and they squint in suspicion. Like, he's so mad about how people feel about him. Mm-hmm. He's just like, what? I'm trying to be a just king.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where
He could try harder.
I think, guys, this chapter is where I came around to loving Tywin because I feel like...
Oh my god, how can you criticize Stannis and love Tywin?
Who are you?
Yeah,
listen, listen, because...
This is why Joel is actually a Slytherin.
Yeah, Slytherin to the core.
He's full
people
of
doubt it, but-
inconsistencies. Like, Stannis wants to rule out of fear.
So consistency is your main judge of
No, think
character?
about it. If ends justify the means, he wants to rule out of fear, why does he care what people... Like, he needs Storm's End. He doesn't need Storm's End. That's out of his insecurity and that people will say that, people... say I was defeated. Okay, well, just you need to be king, so get to King's Landing and be king. Like, take that now. I think he's doing it out of feelings, not pure, motivation of a goal.
Yeah, so better to
So
respect
you're
the evil.
You're
like,
advocating a sociopath.
I'm advocating
a consistent sociopath.
I'm advocating no half measures. Like, Tywin knows
I
that.
mean, I'm biased because I love House Lannister.
Yeah, you have to recuse
really
yourself.
Yeah, we-
contribute because no,
Tywin is a war criminal and a terrorist, literally.
Yeah,
He gets shit done, and Stannis
Oh
is
my
not right
God.
now.
You
What
know who
Stannis
else?
is getting shit
I'm
done.
just saying, when he goes to Blackwater and doesn't put Davos at the
Oh
front of
my
it,
God.
doesn't take Melisandre, the things that got him there.
You know who else got stuff done? Osama bin Laden.
Oh, Jesus. Oh my God.
What? Oh, I'm sorry. We can call Stannis a terrorist.
Too soon?
Too soon.
I mean, maybe, but I don't know, Joel. I think
Stannis
Joel is just
narrowly,
like he still has this thing for Renly, and he's still bitter
He's
about
just
that.
bitter.
Yeah,
and he put on that
that's true.
Stannis shirt to
Fine.
try to show that he was considering him. But I think Joel is just
I think what we're learning is that Joel is a Tyrell, if anything.
a Tyrell.
Yeah.
Tyrell?
Yeah, supporting Renly and then changing your allegiance.
No, Tyrells wouldn't support Tywin Lannister's
They do.
sociopathy.
They do, though.
Only in the meantime.
We'll see as
I'm a
time
Tyrell.
goes on if I can stomach what Tywin does. But right now, compared
Don't
to,
associate me with this
Stannis'
fucking
wishy-washiness.
insanity. God. Joel,
I do have a question for you, Gress.
never gonna let
Sure.
you watch my cat again.
Because we established last time when we talked about Renly's death and what a shock to you it was because you read this during
Unspoiled.
season 1. Yeah.
Yes.
You didn't know exactly how it happened.
Right.
What was your reaction when you read this?
Read the
chapter?
Shadow Baby.
Yeah.
This was another one. I think I said this of Renly's death where I had to go back and check it. This was another thing that was like, oh, this is how it happened. But I didn't connect that. I didn't connect that there was sex involved. I thought that the pregnancy just happened. You You know, like, she just immediately, like, swelled and whatever. Like, I knew it was Stannis, obviously, the Shadow.
Yeah.
But it was gross. Like, I remember being grossed out.
Oh, by that weird sex scene.
No, not by the sex scene in the show. Like, by the Shadow Baby.
It is weird.
And, like, the way that it happened, it wasn't like some sort of, like, splitting off from Stannis' actual shadow. The like, visceral, like, birthing of the Shadow Baby.
It's great.
Is such an interesting way of bringing that device into the story and connecting it to Melisandre in such a real physical way.
Yeah, I mean,
putting the burden of ownership on Stannis in a really interesting way too. He's the what?
Just banging. All right.
He's like the father of his own demise in a way.
Yeah, the paragraph describing it is so great, and I do think
now
this
I
was.
dropped my pen, James. It's all your fault.
Oh, fuck you. I think this is one of the things that the show got really good. That scene, panting, she squatted and spread her legs. Blood ran down her thighs, black as ink. Her cry might have been agony or ecstasy or both.
Ooh.
That's an important thing.
Even I know about
Yes.
that.
And Davos
Ding,
saw
ding,
the
ding.
crown.
Like, put a star next to that.
And Davos saw the crown of the child's head push its way out of her, 2 arms wriggled free, grasping, black fingers coiling around Melisandre's straining thighs, pushing until the whole of the shadow slid out into the world and rose taller than Davos. Yeah.
And
Great imagery.
Nope.
The final line, he knew that shadow as he knew the man who'd cast it. Like, what?
Yeah.
And like, you got to just think, like the thing that I really tried to do reading this the first time, reading it now, watching the scene in the show, is putting yourself in Davos's shoes there and imagining being a party to this horrifying thing, and this man whom you respect, who you owe everything to. Have we gotten to the point where he's like, Stannis is my god or whatever? Is that this, or
I don't think so.
No,
that
no.
hasn't happened? Is that in the show only? I don't know. Whatever. But the point is, we know his reverence for Stannis.
Yeah.
And then to see Stannis a party to something that Davos abhors in so much, is that's so heartbreaking for Davos. And we've only had a couple Davos chapters, but I think that he's such an endearing character and an easy character to empathize with, that, you know, that's such a brilliant way of we have this horrifying scene, but the thing that's most horrifying for Davos, the punchline of this whole thing, is that it's Stannis' shadow.
This is a dumb question. Did Davos know that that's how Renly died at this point?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay.
He probably puts it together. Right.
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
figured
no,
it out.
because I was trying to figure out how, like, traumatic this moment was. I'm like, I had to take into consideration if he knew that shadow babies were a thing.
A few
I don't think he does.
A few things about this whole expedition. One, when Davos says, "The god of darkness protects us now, my lady, even you," this freaks Melisandre the hell out.
Yeah, I thought
Like-
that was interesting. This is the first time I saw a mention of that there's a god of darkness.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She says, "Speak not that name, sir, lest you draw his black eye upon us. He protects no man, I promise you. He is the enemy of all that lives."
Yeah, and, oh, damn, Tyrion's not next.
So we have 2
I'll
opposing...
point it out again later, but Tyrion is in the Sept and he lights a candle by the stranger. I don't think we see another character do that.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought, that like really stuck out to me, especially since everyone's freaked out by the
Yeah, I
stranger.
noticed that as well.
Yeah, and like this god of darkness, no one wants to even touch it.
Well, yeah, so for Melisandre, there are 2 gods. The Lord of Light, and then this god of darkness, she freaks out over, man. She does not like it. Also, the fact that Storm's End is magic.
Yes, old place. There are
Yeah.
spells
Love it.
woven into the stones. Yes.
Well, because we had some of that lore.
Bran the Builder, allegedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it's like, you know, how much of that's real? But Melisandre gets down there and is like, no, there's magic here, which is cool.
And apocryphally, Bran the Builder built Storm's End. He also built the wall.
Yeah.
Now, logically...
And Winterfell.
And Winterfell. Now, logically, I don't think that makes sense. I think the times that all those were built wouldn't make sense for a human's
It's
lifespan.
because.
Well, we don't know yet.
It's
but
because.
why are all these things ascribed?
Bran.
Time travel.
ascribed to Bran the Builder, and apparently, I mean, I think we can say with confidence the wall does have the magical properties that it's
Yes.
alleged to, right? And here we're getting what I would say is proof that Storm's End also has these magical
Yeah,
properties
so-
because Melisandre has to be,
So-
smuggled
Or is this
into it.
correlation without causation? Because the last time we got the history of Storm's End from Catelyn, it was the history of the Lord wanting to be with this demigod or demigoddess and building 7 castles, and the final one stood, and some said Bran the Builder helped to build it.
Yeah, but I think that what we're learning, the important thing
The
that we
Lord
should take
commissioned
away
it.
from, in addition to, we got a little bit of a mention of it when Arya was around the God's Eye, I think, or Jojen might have mentioned it, or he's going to mention it soon, the God's Eye. There's magic afoot in the old places of Westeros. And characters that we're encountering are learning how to use that magic to their benefit. And something that we have to, I think, remember is that King's Landing is not an old place of Westeros.
No. It's
So-
only like 300 years old or so.
Yeah, so characters
It's
will
the
have
White
to find
House.
Yeah.
we'll have to find other means to succeed in that place that have nothing to do with
Yeah. Speaking
Magic.
of Bran the Builder, because we pointed out like the wall definitely magic, Storm's End probably magic.
Winterfell.
Winterfell, I wonder what the magic is there. I think part of it has to do with there always has to be a Stark in Winterfell.
Yeah. That's one of the things I'm most excited to hopefully get a payoff for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See what's down in those
I think
crypts.
that's part of it.
Crypts, the werewood beds, you know?
Yeah.
We'll get a little bit of that with Theon in this book, I'm pretty sure.
And just to put a finer point on mentions of magic, we had earlier, I'm not sure if it was in Game of Thrones or this book, but the story of the last hero, Azor Ahai, right? And the tempering of the sword, and that's where the phrase agony and ecstasy
Yeah.
came.
Oh, that's
That's what we were reminded of
That's
here.
why I was like,
exactly, yeah.
"Ooh,
Oh, okay.
circle it."
It's really hard for me to keep track of what we've already talked about. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's the other occasion when it happens is when Azor Ahai
yeah.
is tempering his blade, the magic one, and he realizes on the third sword that the only way to temper it is to stick it in the heart of his lover, Nisa. She cries out in a cry that might be agony or ecstasy or
Yeah.
both. So
I
that's
also
interesting.
noticed
Winterfell is
And-
a secret tard.
I don't know if there's anything to this, but I've noticed that all of the religions and magic that seem to work in this series have something to do with red. Like you have the red woman, and like the weirwood
weirwoods.
trees are like
The
red,
red eyes and
and like the 7,
Dragons. Fire.
yeah, dragons and fire, and then the 7, there's not. I mean, they're rainbow, but that's not like red. It's not like a
I really like how the
color.
7 stacks up against the other
yeah.
faiths.
Like
How
it's
it's just
How it
nothing.
does-
It's just the word of men,
Yeah.
apparently.
it's
you know?
I think
Let's look at that.
I think
Corollary.
the like
Let's look at that.
crystals have. I think they say a lot about the 7 because like crystals casting like rainbows are
a
not
trick.
real.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a trick.
Oh,
it's an
yeah.
illusion.
All right, guys.
I'll be right back.
Should we move on from
Yeah,
from,
I mean it was a long chapter.
no,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. I
it
think
is a
we're gonna. I
great
think we're gonna
chapter.
move pretty quick from here on out.
There's one note I wanted to add.
Sure.
Sure.
Related to something that Gressel, you said, with this chapter being a turning point for Davos in questioning Stannis, I think it speaks to the theme that we've talked about before with knighthood, where justice flows from lords or from kings, and Davos clearly has a vision of knighthood that's not being an assassin when he says that to, or he at least he thinks it when he's taking Melisandre under the castle, but kind of like Tywin in the mountain, the lord determines a knight's character by what he orders or permits to happen. And here, this is the first time that Davos is being ordered to do something that's against what his code would be otherwise. So justice is flowing from above, basically.
Yes, I think that that's something that we got to keep in mind for Davos going forward. Is what is he really looking for? Because it's not going to be Stannis. You know.
I had a thought
Yeah.
while I was gone.
Oh, make sure it's pointing up. It's pointing out.
Also, Javier is saying that the 7 are incredibly powerful. Sansa prays to them to protect Tyrion, and he becomes a killing machine. And she prays that Sandor finds peace, and he becomes a monk. I don't think that's necessarily.
But that's not a shadow baby.
Yeah, that's something that
not
can
like
easily be explained by
Weirwood.net.
coincidence. That's not.
Doesn't she also pray to both gods?
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
old gods
does.
and
Maybe
new?
the old gods heard them. Like.
I had a thought. I was talking about the color red and how it kind of corresponds to.
John God only has CPR on the side so far.
And how it corresponds to like magic and things that seem to be real. I also think red and white is kind of important because Melisandre is always described as like being super pale white
Yeah,
against red. Jaqen
milky.
H'ghar's hair is half white and red. Ghost is red eyes on white fur, and the weirwood trees are
weirwoods.
white with red
Oh,
mouths
yeah.
and eyes. So I think there's like a lot of, and I was trying to think, and maybe Russell knows. Are there any houses whose colors are red and white? Because I don't think there are.
Like pure
Like
red,
red,
and
white thing. I don't think there are, which I think is interesting.
Didn't Janice Slintz have some red and some white?
No, but it was
He's got
black.
the-
It was like
Janice
a red
House Slint.
spear.
Anyway, I think it'd be interesting if there's like no house with those colors because it's maybe purposely a separation on George's
What
part
colors?
to not
Like
imply
just
like
red on
magic.
What colors are House Reed?
Green.
They're green.
Oh.
They're,
They're green
they're
on-
alligators.
It's that gator.
Are they green on brown or green on green?
I don't know. All right.
What color are
Yeah,
the men
red,
rays?
white, ice, and fire.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We just figured everything out.
We
Shut
did
it
it.
down.
We know how the book ends.
Good job, we witches won.
We did it.
Red, white.
All right.
Fire, ice. All right, let's move on.
All right, what is this, John?
John 5. So, moving on to John 5, this is the chapter in which the men from the Shadow Tower arrive, led by Qhorin Halfhand. And,
Also known as the coolest motherfucker.
yep,
Yeah,
and
he's pretty
you know,
cool.
that's basically it. I mean, John notices that Chet is kind of plotting with some other guys, and then
Yeah.
Qhorin chooses John to go ranging north with him, and John is immediately like, yep, and they're going to go check out what Mance is up to.
Is
Short
House
chapter.
Connington red and white? It's a red griffin on a white field?
I'll be right back.
I know. I'm really curious now. Yeah. So yeah, John overhears some brothers plotting, but he's like, "Oh, everyone's just talking shit. We're all cold." And
Yeah.
John, when you see something, you say something. Although I'm trying to think what would have happened if he said anything. He probably would have gotten beat up.
Yeah, he would have gotten dismissed.
This chapter has a lot of seeds being planted.
Mm-hmm.
The dragon glass, Chekhov's dragon glass, the discontent growing.
Yeah, everyone just like, "Thank you, John." He gives them. I found this
Yeah.
glass in the ground, and everyone's like, "Oh,
I made you a dagger of it.
thanks." They don't even know.
And then also,
There's a lot of red on white.
Okay, it was a thought.
and then also we get more talk about Mance Rayder's army and that maybe they want to break the wall in some way.
Yeah. Tunnel
Which
through it.
He's not in the show, and I thought that was interesting.
It's not in the show.
searching
Have
for
we
a
talked
weapon
about
or
this? Do you
something.
know anything about it?
All I know is I read to the end of this book, and I know that there's something they're seeking in the Frostfangs.
But you don't know what it is.
No.
Interesting. Okay, chat, don't tell them. I'm on a different page. So keep quiet about the thing
Oh, what? Why
about
they're
the
in the
MacGuffin.
frost fangs?
Yeah.
Okay.
because it's
I mean,
interesting. It's
it
very
might-
it's very
I
interesting
might
given
know what
we
it
know.
is.
What do you mean? You might know what it is. We all know what it is.
Well, I might know what it is, but I don't want to.
You don't want to
it.
confirm it
Yeah.
or deny it.
It could be. I don't know if maybe there's a horn or something. I don't know. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's not that. I don't know. I'm not gonna look at you for confirmation or not right now.
Okay. It's interesting.
Oh, and also apropos of nothing, Sam also has a horn that's broken. I don't know if that means something. Another thing to store away.
A lot of horns that pop up.
Yeah.
Well, 2, but that's a lot.
Uh,
That's more than one.
John thinks to himself at the beginning of this chapter, the horn that wakes the sleepers, when he hears the blast of Rangers returning. Which I was thinking about this. So John talks about the anxiety a little bit of the horn blasts. 1 for Rangers returning, 2 for wildlings, 3 for White Walkers.
Yeah, they better get anxious about those horns blowing.
That would be horrifying. Yeah.
What? Just waiting?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I love
Like,
that
it's
The
paragraph.
nervousness of like, oh shit, is this good or are we about to die?
I like the stillness that he captures going all over the camp as they're waiting to see if there's a second one.
I'm okay.
Yes. Everybody's just sitting there like, has it been long enough? And I couldn't help but think, like, what if wildlings killed the hornblower before he blew the second blast?
That'd be a great strategy.
Right?
Yeah.
Get on, Mike.
Coming.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sam with a broken horde, symbolizing him being a dishonored child of Hornhill. Interesting point, Gunner. That's
Oh.
probably not it, but maybe.
I know. I
like it.
Yeah.
It's a cool thing.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing, for sure. John has been hearing gloomy mutterings around the cookfire, not just from Dolorous Ed.
Can we talk about that moment? Because it's the
Which
his story
moment?
about
his story, and it's just this great character moment
Ed?
for Ed, and
Yeah.
it's this moment of like just dark humor in a chapter that's not very funny at
Oh,
all.
Ed's the man.
And you're
That's
just
hilarious.
like, Jesus, Ed.
Wait, what are you talking about?
6:28.
Yeah.
Oh, I envy those eggs that they're boiling.
Yeah.
I could do with a bit of boiling about now. If the kettle were larger, I might jump in. Though I would sooner wine than water. There are worse ways to die than warm and drunk. I knew a brother drowned himself in wine once. It was a poor vintage, though, and his corpse did not improve it.
You drank the wine?
It's an awful thing to find a brother dead. You have need of a drink as well, Lord Snow.
So at first I thought he meant.
Like, I'm just imagining him just, like, not even looking at John, just so matter of fact.
Yeah.
You drank the wine.
Because at first I was like, oh, he drank himself to death, but then like he drowned in a tub of it.
No, I think he's saying he drank himself to death, and Ed is joking.
Oh.
But if he's not,
I thought maybe
I took
he
him
was.
literally.
even if he is being literal, Ed is also the kind who would just kind of like dip a cup in and be like, to
Whatever.
whatever, like
I kind of wonder now if
to Steve.
yeah,
He
like
loved his drink.
could he have killed the guy in wine and then
Ed doesn't kill him.
Ed doesn't.
Is Ed a
yeah.
murderer?
No, Ed's not a murderer.
Ed's
Okay.
nice.
Now Javier is going to jump in and be like, Ed was actually a raper or something.
Yeah, like, damn it.
We don't know why Ed's at the wall.
We don't know why
I don't
Ed's
Oh,
think
we
we'll
don't?
find
I thought
out.
we
Okay.
did.
Just like we don't know why Jackin was in those cells.
Yeah.
Ed is faceless man, confirmed.
Yes.
I, unsurprisingly, really enjoyed this chapter. Qhorin Halfhand is amazing. What do you guys make of, and I'm curious if anybody in the chat knows if there's a reason for this, like a tactical reason for this. He's clean shaven, unlike his men,
Yeah, I noticed that.
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was an interesting detail. Do you guys think that that has anything to do with it, or is it just something that helps him stand out?
I don't know.
I thought it was something that speaks to character.
Sure.
In the way that
Discipline, maybe?
yes.
Okay.
Because everyone else, it's interesting. We're hearing from Thorin Smallwood, who's just overconfident and uninformed, and Chet and Sister Man, who are just grumbling. Mormont is kind of indecisive this chapter and just wary of the world and what's coming. And then Qhorin Halfhand shows up, and this guy is seasoned from experience in the field and just aware of his duty. Immediately talking about like, okay, well, if we pay with our lives, we pay with our lives because that's what we're here to do. And I think that this guy his name is known through the Watch and through wildling clans. Like, I think he is used to being out there and knows exactly what he's about. And these other guys have just gone soft being on the wall.
Sure. I really like, you mentioned Mormont's indecisiveness. And I really like, at the end of this chapter, the moment where Mormont says to Qhorin, pick your men. And immediately, which I forgot about, I didn't know that this was without any hesitation. Immediately he says, very well, I choose Jon Snow. So I think that very specific, very immediate choice of bringing Jon, based nothing really on Jon, other than the fact that he's a Stark and he has a direwolf, and I think that Qhorin knows the value of magic. This, a while ago, well, I'll finish my point on decision making. That shows something that Mormont lacks, and I think it's a lesson that Jon learns. But a while ago, I talked about what do the Rangers know? How much do the Rangers know about if there are others out there? How much magic exists? Qhorin knows what's up, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems to know that the Frostfangs are a magical place. Like we were just talking about magical places. He says,
Oh, yeah.
how else sorcery?
An old place. In
Yeah,
Westeros.
why else would mans choose to gather strength in the frost fangs? Bleak and hard they are in a long, weary march from the wall. So, like, why would they do it? I guess the frost fangs were one of those old magical places. Also, Javier did point out, and I forgot, yeah, Ed went to the wall. He was convinced by Qhorin that ladies love a man in uniform, but Qhorin neglected to tell him about the vows.
Man, that would have been a dour
That-
trip.
That's really.
Qhorin and Ed.
Yeah. That's such a
been
dick
hilarious.
move.
Qhorin was kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Qhorin's like awareness of magic, I think, also shows when he's talking about the man they interrogated, who says that they have wargs and mammoths. He doesn't immediately discount that as I think other men from the Watch would, as like, oh, those are just stories. He's saying, okay, well, I'm not sure if this guy can be believed, but here's what he said.
Yeah.
And it's possible.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, now that we know what wargs are, after Jojen explains it to Bran, they can bring it up here and say that the wildlings have wargs.
I don't think it's an accident either that John describes his blacks as so faded that they're almost gray and he's never replaced them.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I think that he understands that to be a little bit more gray out in the wild is a good thing. Something that might come up in chapters soon to come.
It does seem a little dumb to be wearing all black when you're trying to be sneaky.
In the snow, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why. I mean, I don't think Qhorin is sentimental about his clothes. I think that he sees the value in being a little bit more gray.
I think it made sense back in a time when there were so many of them that it was good to stand out and announce who you were. Like back when all 17 castles were manned.
Yeah,
But it's a
I like
tradition
hearing about
that
that.
doesn't have a use anymore if you're fighting with a much smaller force. And also, I thought it was interesting that so many of the Watch just don't have a good sense of wildlings. Like Thorin Smallwood wants to go now. I think he's just restless. Go now and take Mance Rayder by surprise. But they have a couple hundred people, and Mance Rayder has thousands. And I think he's underestimating the wildlings when he says that. Well, they're just untrained.
They're women and children. That's fine. We can just go
But
run them down.
they're in their lands right now.
Yeah, very frustrating that John doesn't say anything about Chet. You know,
Yeah,
Oh,
John.
Chet being
Chet
like,
might be. We
"Hey,
won't
let's
give him
go
one.
Kill him.
Yeah,
Chet and Lark, the sister man.
yeah. He couldn't bring himself to inform on his brothers. It was just empty talk. They're cold and afraid. We all are.
When we eventually get to the sisters, like I just hate the sisters. Like everything involved in the sisters sounds like it sucks. Like just wet, shitty islands.
Yeah.
Any other points to be made
When
from
do
here?
the
John's
sisters
giving.
come up here? In
I
this
think
Dance.
Brienne's
No,
journey or
it's
no?
Davos.
Oh, Davos.
Oh.
John is losing hope about Benjen Stark's safe return.
We get a discussion of the other castles on the wall.
Yeah, 631.
Yeah. Which I think is interesting. We also get that Qhorin has the intelligence that Mance means to go beneath the wall through a gate or breach.
Yep. They plan to break it.
How and Qhorin so offhandedly says, "How else? Sorcery." Like Qhorin knows what's up.
So we know what they're kind of talking about here, right?
We
A
do.
magic thing to break the
I
wall.
don't.
Joel's not
Okay.
100% aware.
Well, we'll leave it lie then.
Right.
Should we?
Why would it be hard for the wildlings to just go through an unmanned castle?
The gates are sealed.
With what?
Ice.
Okay.
That's
Just checking. because,
Mormon mentions
like,
send word to everybody to go re-ice the other gates.
But then,
There's the
never mind.
Yeah.
I have questions because of stuff later.
Brand stuff?
Yes, brand stuff.
But that's magic.
I know. Okay, never mind. I just had a thought.
Oh, Clarence, damn. John, overhearing Chet. It's just locker
Just
room
locker
talk.
room
Oh
talk.
boy.
Sean's part of the problem.
Yeah.
All right.
My
Any
last
other
thing,
notes? Yes.
I thought it was interesting, just one more note on Mormont, that it's Qhorin that convinces him of the plan going forward. that
Yeah.
where they are is the best place, and
Yeah.
they should stay there while this other scouting party goes out.
And Qhorin being like, yeah, we might die, but
I-
we can buy you some time, you know? We
I
all might
don't
die.
think it's bad leadership though for Mormont to listen to his like best field commander.
Mhm.
You know. So, just saying,
That's true.
you know, lessons to be learned for Jon Snow from all parties.
All right. Tyrion 10.
I liked this
Tyrion
Tyrion
10.
chapter.
didn't.
I'm gonna get my
This
water
is the
bottle.
chapter in which Tyrion
Too
finds
much
out
Shay in this chapter.
Tyrion finds out from Lancel that Cersei is sending Tommen to Rosby, and he plans to interject on that little plan by having Bronn have Bywater intercept. They'll still put Tommen at Rosby, but now Bywater will be in charge because he's Tyrion's man, old Iron Hand. Then he goes to Shay's, and they hang out. He finds a singer there, Simon Silvertongue. And then Varys shows up, and Varys tells him of Stannis' progress at Storm's End, and Tyrion starts freaking out. He tells Shay that she'll have to be a pot girl, and she gets real mad, and that's the part that I hate. He tells her about Tysha, and then the cool part about this chapter is Varys telling Tyrion of how he was cut.
Yes.
Varys' backstory. Very cool part of this. But yes, I agree. It's hard for me to care about Tyrion and Shay.
Chat, is there anyone who is pro Tyrion and Shay?
I knew you were gonna ask that. Like, who thinks Shay actually loves
I
him?
think it's worth talking about.
Is it?
This chapter basically ends that debate.
Okay,
As far as I'm concerned.
I also
yeah?
want to bring up some evidence that I believe that Shay is sleeping with everyone.
What?
Yes.
Interesting.
So, there's the singer.
Simon Silvertongue.
Yes, and Tyrion is irked by the singer for calling him out for being the hand, which I suppose, you know, like,
Yeah.
who are you kidding, Tyrion? Anyway,
Oh,
Shay
some other
says-
demon monkey.
Oh, I know
Shay
exactly
says,
what line.
his songs cheer me on the nights you don't come. And then Tyrion says, how well does he
Yeah.
sing? Better than some, not as good as others. She's fucking everyone.
I can see that.
Why?
Yeah,
What,
because
you're
she
saying-
can.
Wait, what?
How
of
well
that?
does he sing? Better than
Than
some, not as good as others.
others.
Wink.
Yeah, she's fucking the singer. She's fucking the guards.
I don't see that.
She's
why,
fucking everyone.
Why would she? Because
Because she
if-
can. Because that's her. That's all.
But why would
That's the
she-
life she knows.
Why would she
She's a
wink at-
whore.
Why would she wink at Tyrion in that way? Because she is still under his control. She could just be killed.
She
She
knows.
knows how much
she
he
knows
loves
he's
her.
ass over apple cart. He's risking so much
Yeah.
for her. She can get away with everything.
Well, that's why
I
she.
feel like you're of Tyrion's perspective now because he's so paranoid about his own feeling. Like he doesn't see past her. He believes and trusts her, but he's paranoid of his own feelings and being invested.
well, he should be
in them.
paranoid of his own feelings.
Oh, okay, not trusting her because she's a whore. Oh.
No, I think not trusting her because she's like
Because she's
a little bit of a nymphomaniac, maybe.
she's
but
paid
like,
to
I don't know about
love
that.
him.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
because she's being paid to love
What's
him.
what's wrong with having enthusiasm for your job and not having enough
It's
fulfillment?
not that.
in
It's
your
more
work?
like
I
I think
I think
she's not
I think
satisfied
she's
by
not
sex
satisfied,
with Tyrion,
yeah.
so she's having sex with like it makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
She's fucking
Um,
everybody.
Also, she
And
yeah.
Tyrion can't see it. It's a flaw of it's just another flaw in Tyrion that he's not seeing how much of a problem this is. You know?
Yeah, I agree with that, and I thought it's not my favorite thing to read, but it's interesting to see his conflict and that he has to keep reminding himself that, like, on the one hand, he wants to treat her as if they're equals and enjoys that part of their like banter, but also needs to be able to order her as someone he's paying. And when she pushes back, he does not like that. But he likes her the rest of the time.
Did anyone else laugh aloud when she says, "You can dust me with flour and suck gravy off my titties"?
ooh, sexy. I mean,
For some people, that's
I think
the dream.
the fact that she doesn't love him and knows that he loves her so much is why she gets so pissed at him, because up to this point she's been able to manipulate him in like every way that she wants to, and now when he's like, oh yeah, you have to work in the kitchen, she's like, what? I think she's pissed that this is like where she hits a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And can't
okay.
keep manipulating him
Yeah, because like
to
if
just
she-
have nice stuff.
if she loved him and wanted
Yeah,
to,
she would work in the kitchen.
yeah, work in the kitchens and be with him that way. But
Yeah.
like, oh, I love you because I get all this sweet stuff out of it. What's the point if I
If
don't
I'm
get that
working
sweet
in the
stuff?
kitchen.
Oh,
Yeah.
Guys, I think I bought in. I didn't think that
Yeah.
she loved him, but I did think that she liked him. You know, more than
I'm sure she doesn't mind him. He's a clever, funny guy.
She doesn't mind his gold.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm
She
sure when
doesn't.
she's
She doesn't
with
mind.
him, she
She
enjoys
doesn't
the
mind
company.
getting a house and servants and
Yeah.
like
I think
and
Chelsea
all these
phrasing it
men
like
to
that.
sleep with.
Well, there is some textual evidence, a little bit of this that I thought of, and it speaks to your point that she's just a blind spot to him when Varys shows up, and she is immediately able to call that it's him, and I think, well, and Varys is shocked too. I think
Yeah.
it shows that kind of everyone, Tyrion as well, is underestimating her.
I think she's ratting on Tyrion and Varys.
And you know, the other textual evidence is the way she was acting reminded him of Dancy, who had tried so hard to win her wager. Like, she's acting just like this other prostitute whore,
Yeah.
who like was just trying to manipulate him.
Lady of the evening,
Sex worker.
sex worker.
Yeah. I think that's the preferred nomenclature.
Sex
Yeah.
worker.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we'll try. Stick to that. They use whore a lot in the book, though.
I know
That's why, yeah.
they do.
But where do they go?
Oh.
Where do they go?
Yeah, so
Oh,
he,
you know about
he
that?
shares. I do.
Yeah,
He
why does
shares
sh- oh, go ahead.
that story with her, and then
About
immediately. Yeah, he
and
keeps
then
putting himself in more and more
regret.
vulnerable positions with her.
Yeah, dumb move, Tyrion.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He's thinking with his dick and thinking with his heart.
Yeah.
The two worst parts to think with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tywin doesn't think with those things.
But what he does it, he tells her because he feels guilty
Because
for
he feels
slapping
guilty
her?
for slapping her.
Yeah. And you know, I feel like that slap would never happen with show Tyrion.
No.
They,
No.
they
Their,
whitewash
their
him in the show.
relationship is so different in the show. Some people have asked, like, oh, well, does she love him in the show? I think so.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to say, but I think it's more.
I
clear
think
in the
they
books
did
that-
change it in the show to make it more romantic.
Yeah.
Which, whatever.
I think that he could also be looking for her understanding of, you know, why he is the way he is. So that's all happening. And then
Oh.
Varys is here. And
Hold on.
Varys
Is this
more
is this
interesting to me.
the is this the first time we've heard of the Begging Brothers on 638?
Maybe.
Oh, I thought that was a generic term for someone who's begging.
No, I think that is of the religious order that will come into play later, right? Isn't that what the Begging Brothers are? Who, like the High Sparrow ends up being one of them, you know,
Yeah.
right? Isn't he a begging
Maybe.
brother
You know, I don't
with
want
a
to
bowl
say
hung
yes.
around his neck? Isn't that their whole thing?
Oh, I don't.
patch robes, bare feet.
It's been so long. I don't remember.
So yeah, we do get a Varys monologue, and it's awesome.
It is
Yeah, I
awesome.
like.
Yeah.
In terms of two people in this chapter sharing stories that make them vulnerable, I wondered why Varys gives Tyrion this
I
information.
had that thought.
I think because okay. I think Varys is. I think he's being genuine here.
Yeah.
And he genuinely hates magic.
Oh yeah, I think so for sure.
And I believe that he's legitimately concerned about a Stannis victory and is trying his hardest to help Tyrion win. Especially now that he's heard about the Shadow Baby.
Clarence saying his relationship with magic seems pretty odd considering his affiliation with Targs. Targs didn't use magic like this, right? They just used
No,
dragons.
dragons.
Dragons are magical, but they're not.
It's not. They're not like sorcerers.
Yeah.
I think there's a.
The-
yeah,
you can
I
see
had
a
that thought,
dragon
too.
coming. I think Varys, even though he's a spy, I think one of his things that he doesn't, he sees that there's an honor amongst thieves. I think with him being a spy, there's you know, a way he does things.
Mm-hmm.
But magic is so otherworldly, and he hates it so much, obviously because of these really, you know, personal reasons.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, and why would someone want Varys' manhood? His parts.
Yeah, that guy really.
Are we doing Blackfire stuff? We getting into Blackfire stuff?
I think we should just say, why would someone want Varys' parts?
Interesting to think about, because this guy seemingly randomly just picks him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seemingly.
Seemingly.
Maybe there's just power in little boy dick.
That's what
Maybe.
I thought that he just needed.
He just needed
needed
any.
Also, because why
little-
would the man?
little dog.
I'm not trying to ask you anything, but why would the man not care about the blood of this boy he got in Bravos or wherever he was picked up? Because he just casts him away and says, "Go die."
I think
You got
cutting him gets enough blood that you need
Okay.
for any services you might be performing.
Also, think of how taking away someone's manhood eliminates a certain problem that may arise.
A certain ability.
A certain ability that you take away when you take away
I
someone.
got you, but the implication of that, I don't know.
They're pretty big, but we'll talk about it
We'll
later.
get
Alright,
there.
we will.
Think
Yeah.
about it.
When
Let it.
was we
let
gonna
it
talk
plant
about
seed.
that? That's
Probably in like book 5.
forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So think about it for like a year.
Oh, what? Like
Let that
epilogue?
ruminate.
Okay, I'm getting rid of.
No pun intended. That
I feel like it's just in my face the whole time,
It's just
and it's
fine.
really bothering
We're
me.
done with Florence.
We're done with House Florent.
no pun intended. That guy is a real dick because he castrates him with a paralytic agent that lets him feel it all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That seems.
it's fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
I buy the explanation that Varys is motivated because he wants Tyrion to also be motivated to like oppose magic.
I have hated magic and all those who practice it. If Lord Stannis is one such, I mean to see him dead.
And I believe he's speaking true there.
Yeah.
I believe he is speaking true there.
Oh, and we also mentioned the Faceless Men. I
Yep.
don't know if they've been referenced before in the books.
As a faceless. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
in game.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, because they were talking about maybe
Littlefinger
sending
brings
Faceless
Yeah.
Men
To get
kill
Daenerys.
them.
Very
I
expensive.
love that Tyrion says that he used to fantasize about being rich enough to buy
So
one
again,
to kill
reinforcing that they're expensive.
outrageously expensive.
Yeah.
This is like one of the richest people in
Yeah.
the country.
Yeah,
being
right.
like, one day I hope to be rich enough.
Yeah, I didn't even think
he
of
was a
that.
Lannister.
Shit.
He's like, one day, hopefully, we'll have enough money to do a Faceless Man.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of killing family, there are two interesting lines of foreshadowing in this
Yes.
chapter.
Yes.
There's one that Tyrion says, "The man who kills his own blood is cursed forever in the sight of gods and men." And there is the mention on where is it? I think it's like 646 of there's the mention of the fact that there are secret tunnels in the Red Keep, and
Yes.
that there's a tunnel even to the Tower of the Hand.
Guys.
Didn't we already know that?
What, that
I don't
there's
think it
tunnels?
That there are tunnels to the Tower of the Hand?
Yes.
Yeah.
Arya sneaks out of one, right?
I don't think that's
For
the Tower
sure.
of
Is
the
that
Hand.
the Tower of the Hand?
No.
But
Oh, but
I thought
doesn't Varys
Varys
show up to talk to Ned?
Yeah.
Yeah, Varys shows up
Yeah.
to talk to
And,
Ned.
okay, but
and he
see-
was like, and he said a
Guys.
hand once put these in.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Requested
And
them,
we
and they went to the whole
speculated,
house.
and we
Right.
speculated it was
Joel, where was that quote where it's like a man who kills his.
That's
Oh.
on 640. But
Okay, I just have a little point here I want to make. Let me find it.
Ugh.
Okay, so the man who kills his own blood is cursed forever in the sight of gods and men. I think we read that when we get to Joffrey. Not a spoiler, it happens in the show, right? That's fine.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Joffrey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that this is led to make us, or this is here to make us believe, like, it's not Tyrion. Like, we know it's not Tyrion, but he's such a suspect, right? So like, it couldn't be, like, Tyrion wouldn't do something like that. He even
Yes.
thinks about killing,
Because he would have killed Cersei.
the thought of killing Joffrey, and he thinks about it earlier, too, when, like,
Sure.
Tommen would be about, and it, like, sends chills down his
When
spine.
Bronn brings it up.
Because
brings
killing
it up,
his
yeah.
own blood
Yeah.
would be such a curse. He kills Tywin.
Chelsea.
Yeah.
Tywin's not his dad. Guys, no, I'm dead serious
I'm
though.
with you.
I
I'm with
think
you.
that don't even.
That sucks. I would be
doesn't
so
suck.
mad. Yes, it does. It's so much better for Tyrion.
But
to
like,
have to
And for
kill to
Tywin.
be Tywin's son, and for Tywin.
I agree. I have no
Yeah.
evidence of Secret Targ yet. I have not encountered anything.
Well,
like
here's
that.
One Piece.
yeah, I honestly think
That's
that
not
this.
evidence, that's
Yeah,
just-
I think it's a
it's
nugget.
something.
It's
That
a
makes
little.
it better for
It's a
Tywin
nugget.
to be
I
killed by
agree.
Tyrion.
It's a nugget.
If
The
Tyrion-
fact
I don't
It
know.
that
works both ways.
Tyrion-
Tyrion feels cursed
It's good
after
writing.
killing Tywin. That's interesting to me.
But the fact that he is so.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
Javier
we know that like
Exactly.
Tyrion wouldn't know that.
He would,
but,
but
it's just like a meta thing.
It's just like a literary thing where he rules out like, no, I would never do this, but he does it.
and then in
but
the
the-
end, it would be like revealed like, oh,
He
I
didn't actually
ever
do.
this.
I think it works both ways because he says I would never do this and does it and fulfilling the prophecy that,
That
I
works
feel
too.
cursed.
Everyone's so mad, guys.
People are real divided on this.
It's the fan
We'll
theory.
turn you by the end. In a year
I-
when we're done
We
with all
will
these
turn
books,
you.
we'll turn you, and we'll turn you, and we'll turn you. Guarantee it.
The thing is,
Believe me.
It's not the same, Javier. It's different. It's different because Tywin is whatever. We'll talk about this in.
we'll talk about
No,
it.
it
So
is the same. It's the
It's not
same
the
as
same.
Jon and Ned's relationship.
Yeah.
It's different.
No, it's not. It's the exact same
No,
as
it's-
Jon Ned.
It's pretty different.
It's not.
Anyway.
I do want to add,
Okay.
Chelsea, you mentioned Joffrey.
I've read
and,
World of Ice and Fire.
Chelsea, you mentioned Tommen and Joffrey. This is the second mention in as many Tyrion chapters, the last two, where they talk about Tommen and his importance if something happens to Joffrey. Like either, if Tyrion did something, if anyone did something, and so they're going to protect Tommen and make sure that he's safe. Mm-hmm. So I think they're planting that seed.
By dyeing his hair and shuttling him off somewhere else.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
Hey, you know what, Chelsea? I'm glad you got rid of that fox. Top of 648, Lord Tarly has seized Renly's stores and put a great many to the sword. Florence, chiefly. Fuck off, Florence. We're done with you.
All right.
Is that it for this chapter?
That's just mean, Lord Tarly.
Oh, because we have no evidence of Lord Tarly being mean.
I'm just saying,
Catelyn 6.
you don't need to disgrace Renly's memory.
All right, guys. Time for a little bit of Catelyn.
Time to bring it down.
Catelyn 6. This is where Edmure rides out. Catelyn goes to pray and reflect, and then she learns of Penrose's death. Everyone's just learned of Penrose's death. Roose, we find out that Roose is heading to Harrenhal. That'll pay off in Arya's chapter. Lannister men try to ford the river multiple times, and they all get pushed back and fail. And then she gets Cleos Frey real drunk, and then goes to talk to him and finds out of the prisoner of war
Catelyn.
exchange terms. This is her finding out that, oh, wait, what? They're saying that they would exchange Arya and Sansa for Jaime? Okay. And then finally we hear of the Stone Mill battle where the Mountain led a big attack that did get pushed back. It failed, and now Tywin is marching southeast.
This chapter is a lot of little seeds of their demise, because also in this chapter there's you hear of Robb heading towards Westerlings, like he's about to
Yes.
meet
you're
up.
right.
Yeah.
We're about to
Yeah.
get some Jane Westerling.
So there's a lot of little, like this is the beginning of the end, I think. This chapter.
I think it ends, interestingly, with Catelyn knowing that what Edmure has done is not good.
Here's something curious to think about, based off of what you just said, Chels. So we get the Shadow Baby, and the second Shadow Baby, the killing of
Cortnay Penrose.
Courtney Penrose by Shadow Baby. And then we get the beginning of the end for pretty much every character that comes after it. Like, Robb is marching he's going to the Crag. Like, we get, like, Shay and Tyrion at odds, and foreshadowing for Tywin one way or another. And
We've really
Well, I think I see
ignited
where
the
you're going
chat.
with this.
and like, is that moment, is Shadow Baby like the turning point of Clash? Like, this is or
Of
even
the
of the
War
War of the Five Kings.
Are you saying in terms of writing, or that when darkness infects the world, it spreads everywhere?
A little bit of both.
So why this Shadow Baby, not Renly Shadow Baby?
I think it's the repeated use.
Okay.
Or it could even be Renly's shadow baby. It could even be that then Stannis' willingness to go back to that well is the mark of, his downfall or whatever you want to say it.
Well,
It also. Oh, go ahead.
the world ended for a lot of people when Renly died.
Yeah. I mean, you could also argue that the first shadow baby is going to be like the downfall of the Tyrells.
Yeah.
I mean,
We're getting into
Long
butterfly
picture.
effect.
granted, we're
Big
getting
picture
into
stuff,
like,
sure.
stuff like maybe it'll happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to say, but like focus more on this book and the information that we're getting in these next few chapters that follow it. They're plotted out for a specific way.